I disagree that Oracle is a loser, just given my view. When you look at the AI revolution, I mean, for the first time in 30 years, U.S. is ahead of China when it comes to tech. And I think what you're seeing here play out is like, yeah, there's some white knuckles, but the reality is you have 3 to 4 trillion that's going to be spent in the next few years. Oracle is going to play a huge role in that. And I think right now, in the penalty box, I think we sit here a year from now, and it was a huge buying opportunity. Just like the view, if you go back a year ago, New York City cab drivers bearish on Google. AI is going to destroy the model. It's going to get broken up.
In a completely different narrative now.
Now look today. I mean, everyone's super bullish. So I'm just saying, this is a bull market, 2 more years left. And I get it, we're going to have some of these moments, but I don't think in any way that this is sort of the moment where you head for the elevators. It's names that you buy some of these names, in my opinion.
But Oracle's balance sheet looks very different from the other hyperscalers, right? It's not an Alphabet, it's not a Meta, it's not an Amazon when it comes to its cash levels and its cash flow. So there is reason to be at least a little bit more dubious or suspicious of Oracle's finances.
No doubt, but look, when OpenAI calls, you pick up that phone. And I mean, if you look at what that growth's going to look like, I mean, the next few years, you're not seeing the next quarter or two, but in terms of their RPO, we're talking 400 or 500 billion. And obviously, OpenAI, 300 billion of that. But to me, it's just one of those where we're going through one of these periods where it's a glass half empty. And I get it. And I think it's healthy for the overall tech trade. But I think when we look out, I mean, I think tech stocks are going to continue to rip into next year because we're still early days in this AI build out. You only have 3% of U.S. companies that are going down the AI path. And I see it on
It's highly concentrated.
Well, it's concentrated, but now it's spreading. I mean, I see it like authentication, what we see with the orbs in terms of authentication on that side of the area. You look at cybersecurity, CrowdStrike, you see Palo Alto, you look at other names that are playing it out. I think it spreads to second, third, fourth derivatives that we're going to see play out across tech.
Okay, before I let go of this Oracle story that the FT reported Blue Owl will not back the $10 billion deal for Oracle's next data center, how are you thinking about this reporting? What does it signal to you?
Look, I think there's a better chance of me playing in the NFL this weekend than this data center ultimately not getting built out. Now, I'm not saying terms, partners, it goes through some negotiations. But my view is like in moments like this, just like DeepSeek moments, just like Liberation Day, just like U.S.-China worries, I get the bears are going to sort of own the day, especially when it comes to a name like Oracle. But it's not time you panic. I think Oracle actually here is a compelling name to own, given the risk reward.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the Amazon discussions with OpenAI about letting OpenAI use its Trainium chips, also investing at least $10 billion in OpenAI. Talk about Amazon's role in the whole AI build-out.
Sure. I mean, look, Jassie's an AWS guy. So if you think about where we are in terms of this arms race, Dell and Microsoft clearly at the top. You look at everything that Google has done in terms of Curry and how they've successfully built, especially on the cloud side, and really, that's been a huge turnaround. But for Amazon, this is a huge opportunity for them on the data center side, given their cloud customers in AWS to go after them. They got to jump in the deep end of the pool. You do with OpenAI. So I think to some extent, even though right now, if you look at the diversion that we're seeing with stocks, tied to OpenAI that are negative, Amazon, they want to be more associated with them because that was really going to be the build out when we talk about this AI revolution and you're still in the third inning. Amazon wants to ultimately really build this out with a partner like OpenAI and not be on the other side.
I get that, but will the Trainium chips actually be a real competitor to Nvidia's chips?
See, my view is today, there's only one godfather of AI. He's wearing a black leather jacket. His name's Jensen. So at this point, 12-to-1 is demand to supply for Nvidia chips. But the reason AMD, the reason you're going to see other players in, you see Google in terms of what they've done on, from a chip perspective, they'll play in that game. That's a long-term bet. It's no different when Apple bet on chips in terms of they're going to ultimately seed out Intel. It took 5, 6, 7 years. But these are long-term plays in this arms race that's playing out. But we're in year 3 of an 8 to 10 year AI revolution.
Year 3 in an 8 to 10 year revolution, there's going to be bumps along the way. What do you see as the biggest risk to your bullishness, to this positive story?
Energy. The big, see, I don't worry about things like the Oracle data center build out. I don't worry about capital in terms of, I don't worry about the use cases. To me, as someone like that's seen it, firsthand, traveling around the world, this is a true fourth industrial revolution. This is not a bubble, this is an AI revolution. The biggest issue in the US is energy. 3% of US companies gone down the AI path. When you get to 20%, kind of clock strikes midnight. So that continues to really be the issue in my opinion. That's why I think nuclear continues to be the answer. And I think that's something right now from a US perspective, we're ahead on tech. But relative to China, China's ahead when it comes to energy.
So does the concern about the limitations, the restraints on energy show up in 2026? And if so, how does it show up?
I think it's me. I think this is a huge inflection point. You guys see government in terms of administration get fully behind it. You're going to need to see a lot of innovation from a nuclear perspective. Look, solar, grid, things like that, I mean, that's maybe stopgaps, and that could help a little. But in terms of, there's more data centers under construction today than active data centers. Nuclear is going to be the answer. And it comes down to how do you actually get at, what are the private companies out there, what's the innovation? To me, that's the biggest thing that could be the aha moment. Energy is the biggest constraint in the US.
Energy is the biggest constraint. So within the AI tech world, the tech name specifically, is there any one that you think maybe has gone past where it should, at least for now? In the near term, you can kind of back off a bit.
I mean, look, there's some
Tesla near record high?
Look, Tesla I've talked to. I mean, this is going to be, it's going to be a golden year for Tesla. And I think $2 trillion, ultimately $3 trillion bull case, because in my view, you talk about everything in AI, autonomous, robotics, it's just starting. Now, Musk, wartime CEO, and I think you're seeing investors understand what the future is going to look like from Elon and Tesla. Look, are there ones that could get over their skis from a stock perspective? Yeah, but right now, it's my view that investors are underestimating the scale and scope of this AI revolution. And like me and you have talked about, AI party started at 9 p.m., it's now 10:30 p.m., party goes to 4 a.m.
All right, 10:30 p.m. until the party ends at 4 a.m.